feeling lost in life. This will change how you see work forever. Feeling stuck in a wreck, waking up each day with a sense that something important is missing? You're not alone. So many of us drift through life lost and disheartened, going through the motions at work, yet deep inside craving something more. We've been taught that a job is just a paycheck, a necessity to survive. But what if that very mindset is why you feel so lost? Think about it. We spend years chasing degrees and job titles, believing landing the right job will magically make everything fall into place. Yet, how many people reach that goal and still feel empty? The truth is, you are not designed simply to find a job and grind away in endless monotony. You are designed for something far greater. What if your work life isn't meant to be a prison of paychecks and titles, but a path to your true purpose? I'm here to tell you exactly that. There's a higher calling on your life, a God-given purpose, waiting to be unleashed in your work. Once you see work through this new lens, it will shake the very foundation of how you live each day. Open your heart and mind, because by the end of this journey, you will never see your work the same way again. Stop searching for a job. Start embracing your calling. Too often, people approach life thinking, I just need to find a job. Any job. They settle into positions that pay the bills but starve their spirit. If you've ever felt stuck in a role that drains you, clocking in and counting down the hours, you know that pain. But here's the bold truth. You were not created just to work. You were created to serve. You are so much more than a cog in some corporate machine, grinding away for a paycheck, while your heart longs for meaning. A calling is entirely different from just a job. A job is a role you perform, but a calling is the mission you were born for. It's the spark deep inside that ignites your spirit and makes you come alive. Your calling isn't defined by a job title or the size of your paycheck. It's defined by the passion in your heart, the gifts God has given you, and how you use them to serve others. Think about it. The people who truly change the world are not the ones who simply clock in and out for a paycheck. They are the ones driven by a higher purpose. For example, Moses wasn't out looking for a new job when he was called to lead his people to freedom. Abraham wasn't updating his resume when God chose him to father a nation. History's greatest figures, whether prophets, leaders, or innovators, did not achieve significance by simply finding a job. They answered a divine calling that spoke to their souls, and here's what that means for you. The same God who called them has placed a unique calling in your life as well. Now, embracing your calling doesn't mean the work you do today is meaningless. Far from it. In fact, when you start to view your current job through the lens of purpose, everything changes. The office, shop, classroom, or job site you step into each day is no longer just a place to earn a wage. It becomes a platform for you to live out your calling. Whether you're sweeping floors, stocking shelves, writing code, or running a company, what truly matters is the heart and purpose you bring to that work. When you work with a sense of higher purpose, using your God-given talents to help others, even the most ordinary tasks become infused with meaning. You might be thinking, all this sounds great, but I don't even know what my calling is. What if I'm afraid to leave the familiar security of my job? It's natural to feel that uncertainty. Stepping into the unknown is intimidating, and it's easier to stay in the comfort of what you know. But remember, God never calls you to stagnate. If you feel unsettled or unfulfilled where you are, that feeling itself can be a gentle push from above, a sign that you're meant to grow beyond your current situation. Don't let fear paralyze you. The same God who planted a purpose in your heart will also guide you forward when you choose to trust Him. You may not see the whole path yet, but if you take the first step in faith, He will reveal the next, and then the next, leading you closer to the life you were meant to live. The conventional path versus your true purpose. Society has long sold us a simple formula for success. Go to school, get a degree, land a job, and climb the ladder. From childhood, we're conditioned to believe that our worth is measured by our job title and our happiness by the size of our paycheck. We internalize the idea that employment is the ultimate goal of our education and hard work. But this well-worn path can be a trap. By viewing a job as the end-all be-all, we limit ourselves to someone else's vision and reduce our identity to a list of duties on a contract. Following the conventional route alone often leaves people feeling stuck, unfulfilled, and disconnected from the deeper meaning of their lives. Why? Because a traditional job description can never fully define you or the gifts planted inside you. Work isn't supposed to be just a grind to earn a living. It's meant to be an expression of your unique talents and a means to serve a greater purpose. If you focus only on checking the boxes of a job, you risk missing the incredible calling that God has specifically designed for you. The truth is, work isn't just about earning a paycheck. It's about fulfilling a calling. Your true purpose in life goes far beyond the narrow confines of any one job title or position. It's about discovering the specific gifts and passions God knit into you and finding ways to use them that make you come alive and help others. Yes, a job can provide financial stability, but a paycheck alone will never give you the profound sense of meaning and joy that comes from living out your God-given purpose. Each of us has been designed with unique talents, interests, and abilities by our Creator. When you shift your focus from merely finding a job to discovering your calling, you unlock a life filled with far more possibility. Suddenly, work stops being a dull routine you endure and becomes an adventure you engage in with excitement. You begin to realize that through your work, whatever it may be, you're contributing to something much bigger than yourself. This shift in perspective is liberating. It allows you to see potential and purpose in every situation, even in the small day-to-day tasks. Instead of feeling like a tiny gear in a giant machine, you recognize that even the little actions, when done with intention and love, carry profound significance. You also stop living in constant fear of not being good enough or anxiety about what if I fail. Those worries that often haunt the job hunt begin to fade because you know you're on the path towards something truly meaningful. When you pursue purpose over mere position, an amazing thing happens. Peace replaces anxiety. The pressure to grab any job just to survive falls away. You realize you don't have to settle for a life that doesn't inspire you simply because it pays the bills. Instead, you can seek work that aligns with your values and passions, work that speaks to who you truly are. The job you have today might not be the job you have next year, and that's okay. As long as you keep your eyes on your calling, each step will move you closer to a more fulfilling and impactful life. And when your work finally does align with your purpose, you'll know it. You'll feel a deeper connection to what you do each day. There's a joy in using your talents to serve others, and a satisfaction in knowing you're part of God's greater plan. So rather than simply chasing the next job opening, take a moment to ask yourself, what is my true calling? What was I meant to do with my life? Shift your focus from merely seeking employment to seeking the reason you were put on this earth. When you do, you break free from the limits of job titles and step into a life rich with meaning, fulfillment, and divine purpose. Beyond titles and paychecks, finding your true worth. In our culture, we often equate a title with success. Manager, director, CEO. We're taught that collecting these labels is the pinnacle of achievement. From a young age, many of us dream about climbing the corporate ladder, believing that each rung we ascend will finally prove our worth. But let me tell you a secret. True fulfillment has nothing to do with the title on your business card. You can have the most impressive position in the company and still feel empty inside if you're not living out your calling. God's plan for your life is so much greater than any title or paycheck. He didn't put you on this earth just to collect promotions, accolades, or a certain salary figure. His desire is that you discover your higher purpose, the unique calling on your heart, and live it out in a way that serves others and glorifies Him. Titles and money are fleeting. They can vanish with a job change or economic shift. But the impact you make by living your calling, that's something that lasts. Remember, a title is external. It's just a label other people give you based on your role. But a calling is internal. It's the deeply personal understanding of what you're here to do. A title might indicate what you do for a living, but your calling speaks to why you do it and for whom. When you uncover that calling, it resonates within your soul in a way no superficial title ever could. Sure, a fancy title might earn you a bit of admiration or social status, but being true to your calling will bring you something far more valuable. Genuine fulfillment, meaning, and joy that no corporate title can ever provide. We've all seen people who have it all on paper, yet feel miserable, and others who might not have a prestigious title but radiate passion and purpose. The difference lies in whether they're living for a label or living out their calling. Your true worth isn't defined by a job title at all. It's defined by how you use the gifts and passions God gave you to make a difference in the lives of others. That is the measure of success heaven recognizes. Are you using your talents to inspire, to uplift, to help those around you grow? When you focus on that, the title on your office door matters so much less than the light you bring into the world. When you start pursuing your true calling, you'll find yourself caring less about what title you hold and more about the impact you're making. Work becomes less about reaching the next rung on the ladder and more about living out your purpose day by day. Instead of seeing your job as just a means to an end, you begin to see it as a way to serve a divine mission, no matter what form that job takes on the surface. Keep in mind, living your calling doesn't always mean landing a high-profile job or earning a six-figure salary. Your calling might lead you to quiet, humble places of service that the world barely notices, and yet those can be the most important roles of all. You might find your purpose in teaching a child to read, creating art that inspires, tending to the sick, leading a small community project, or simply listening and being present for someone in need. The beauty of a calling is that it isn't about how the world sees you. It's about how you and God see your life and the value you bring. The journey toward fulfilling your calling is really a journey toward discovering your true self, the person God created you to be. It's about embracing the unique way He designed you to serve the world. This path isn't about chasing applause or recognition. It's about staying faithful to the quiet conviction in your heart. And here's the amazing part. When you do embrace your calling, you'll realize that the fancy title you once thought you needed matters little. What matters is the joy and peace you experience from knowing you're exactly where you need to be, doing what you were made to do, in alignment with God's will for your life. So today, I challenge you. Look beyond the titles and paychecks. Ask yourself, what is my true calling? What gifts has God given me, and how can I use them to serve others? When you stop chasing external validation and start heeding that inner voice of purpose, you will begin to live a life far richer and more meaningful than any job title could ever grant you. Working to serve, not just to survive. Think for a moment about how many of us approach our jobs. We treat work as a checklist of tasks, a means to pay the bills, or just something we have to get through each day. We fixate on deadlines, quotas, and the next payday. Important things, sure, but they're not the whole story. In focusing only on the grind, we often miss the bigger picture of what work can truly be. At its core, work isn't just a way to make a living. It's an opportunity to make a difference. Real fulfillment at work comes when you realize that your job, whatever it may be, is an extension of your calling to serve. When you start viewing your work, not just as a set of tasks, but as a way to help others, everything changes. What was once a dull routine transforms into a powerful expression of purpose. Whether you're in a boardroom, a classroom, a kitchen, or on a factory floor, at the heart of your labor lies the chance to make someone else's life better. No matter what field you're in or what role you have, your work holds the potential to serve others and meet their needs. It could be as simple as greeting a customer with a warm smile, patiently helping a client solve a problem, or crafting a product that makes people's lives easier. Even tasks that seem mundane or repetitive take on new meaning when you see them through this lens of service. Every effort becomes a contribution to someone else's well-being. When you adopt this mindset, work shifts from something you endure to something you embrace. You no longer drag yourself to the office just to fulfill obligations or collect a paycheck. Instead, you show up with a sense of mission, knowing that what you do contributes to a larger good. The focus moves from what do I get to what can I give, and that is a game changer. Consider a person who works in customer service. If they see their job only as answering calls and dealing with complaints, it can drain their energy and patience. But if they choose to see each call as a chance to brighten someone's day, to solve a problem and leave that person better off than before, suddenly the job takes on new life. They're no longer just doing a job. They're offering a service that genuinely matters. Even the smallest interactions become meaningful when viewed through this lens. The same principle applies no matter what you do for a living. Teachers impart knowledge, but more importantly, they spark inspiration and shape futures. Doctors and nurses heal bodies, but also comfort hearts and restore hope. Artists create beauty that lifts spirits. Mechanics and janitors keep the wheels of daily life turning smoothly, ensuring others can live and work in comfort. Every profession, every role has the potential to serve others, to impact lives in ways we may not always see directly, but can always trust are making a difference. When we begin to approach our work with the mindset of service, we stop thinking about it as a task we have to endure. Instead, we recognize it as an opportunity to make a difference, and that realization is deeply fulfilling. The fulfillment you experience doesn't come from external rewards or recognition. It comes from knowing in your heart that you're aligned with your calling and using your gifts to serve others. This is a kind of inner reward that far outweighs any paycheck. Adopting a service mindset also transforms how you view the people you work with. You begin to see that everyone, from the custodian cleaning the floors, to the receptionist answering the phones, to the manager making big decisions, plays an important part in the larger picture. Each person's work contributes in its own way to the collective good. When you appreciate that, a sense of unity and mutual respect grows. You realize we're all on the same team, working toward a common purpose, each with our own role to play. Furthermore, when we embrace the idea that work is about what you can give, not just what you can get, your whole outlook shifts. Your job becomes less about personal gain and more about making your work an offering, a way to bless others and contribute to something greater than yourself. This shift pulls you away from self-centered thinking and connects you to a sense of community and interdependence. You start asking, how can I add value, rather than, what's in it for me? You come to realize that your work is not just about your own success or comfort. It's about how you can use your position to improve someone else's life or solve someone else's problem. In the end, work as service means understanding that our true fulfillment comes from the difference we make in the lives of others. No matter how big or small the task, when you pour yourself into it to benefit someone else, you not only make their life better, you fill your own life with purpose. That kind of reward eclipses anything a job title or pay raise could give. The simple truth is this: the joy of serving others is one of the greatest rewards work can offer, and it's available to all of us, no matter what work we do. So the next time you step into your workplace, remember that you're not just working for a paycheck. You are working to serve others, and in doing so, fulfilling your highest calling. Overcoming fear and doubt on the path. Whenever you consider stepping into something new, especially something bigger than what you've done before, doubt has a way of creeping in. A little voice whispers, what if you're not good enough? What if you fail? These fears are a natural reaction to leaving our comfort zone. Our minds crave certainty, and when faced with the unknown, it's normal to feel unqualified or insecure. But here's the key: fear doesn't have to control your decisions. What if, instead of letting that fear paralyze you, you saw it as an invitation to trust God more deeply? Imagine taking a step forward despite the butterflies in your stomach, believing that God is right there beside you, steadying you as you go. Often, fear shows up precisely when you're on the brink of growth. It's a sign that you're venturing beyond what is comfortable and into what is possible with faith. It's easy to think I'll move toward my calling once I have everything figured out, once I feel completely ready. But the truth is, God doesn't usually lay out the entire plan in advance. Sometimes He gives us just enough light for the next step and asks us to trust Him for the step after that. One of the Bible's most vivid illustrations of this kind of faith is the story of Peter stepping out of the boat to walk on water. Matthew 14:29-31. When Jesus called Peter to come to Him across the waves, Peter actually walked on water as long as his eyes stayed on Jesus. The moment he let fear take over, when he looked at the storm around him, he began to sink. Jesus reached out and caught him, asking why he doubted. The lesson here is powerful. When we keep our eyes on God and trust His calling, we can do things that once seemed impossible. It's only when we focus on the fear, the wind and waves around us, that we begin to sink. If you're feeling afraid as you step toward your purpose, it doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. More often than not, It means you're doing exactly what you need to be doing, stretching beyond your comfort zone and learning to rely on God like never before. The more you trust God and take steps of faith, the more you'll discover strengths and resilience within yourself that you never knew you had. Each time you feel fear but choose to move forward anyway, you grow. You prove to yourself that fear is not a stop sign, but rather a signal that you're entering new territory where God's grace will meet you. Remember that God has already equipped you for the work ahead. You might not feel ready. Moses and Jeremiah didn't feel ready either when God called them. But he knows the end from the beginning. He is preparing the way for you even now. Fear will always try to whisper that you should stay where it's safe, but God's call always leads to something greater. It's important to understand that experiencing doubt doesn't mean you lack faith. Doubt is a normal part of any journey into the unknown. True faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's moving forward in spite of it. When you choose to trust God's guidance, even with fear knocking at the door of your heart, you open yourself to incredible growth. Following his plan, step by step, you'll notice that the fear which loomed so large begins to shrink in the light of his faithfulness. You'll look back and see that God was providing for you all along, opening the right doors, giving you the strength just when you needed it. And that much of what you feared never came to pass. Never forget. God will never call you to a task without also providing the tools and strength you need to complete it. If God has placed a dream or calling in your heart, you can trust that he will equip you for it every step of the way. In the end, it's not really about how strong or capable you are. It's about how strong and capable he is. Your fears and doubts are temporary. The work God wants to do through you and the fulfillment that comes from it are lasting. The joy, peace, and sense of purpose that await you on the other side of fear are far more enduring than the fear itself. So don't let fear hold you back from pursuing the calling God has given you. Even if your knees are trembling and doubt is whispering in your ear, move forward knowing God is with you. He's guiding you, strengthening you, and cheering you on. Trust his plan, step out in faith, and you will find that the path ahead, while not always easy, is leading you toward greater growth, confidence, and a deep fulfillment that makes every struggle worthwhile. Purpose and prosperity, embracing abundance in your calling. There's a common misconception that pursuing your purpose means sacrificing success or living with less. Society might say, you can't have it all. You either follow your passion or make a good living, but not both. You've probably heard things like, you can't make money doing what you love, or being successful requires giving up on those dream projects. This kind of thinking is rooted in a mindset of scarcity, the belief that there's only so much success or happiness to go around. But nothing could be further from the truth. The God who calls you is not a God of lack. He's a God of abundance. In reality, when you align your work with the purpose God gave you, it unlocks not only deep fulfillment, but often unexpected abundance. We're not just talking about money, although financial blessings can and do flow, but about opportunities, resources, and support that seem to appear at just the right time. When you step into your calling, you step into the flow of favor that God has prepared for you. Doors open that you could never have forced open on your own. And connections happen that defy mere coincidence. It's as if the world around you starts to respond to the passion and dedication you are pouring out. Think of the many individuals, past and present, who followed their calling with all their heart. An artist who pours their soul into their work and ends up touching millions. A teacher who passionately educates and ends up transforming an entire community. An entrepreneur who builds a business around a mission and finds not only profit, but a platform to change lives. Time and again, when someone aligns what they do with what they truly believe in, they tap into a wellspring of support and resources that propels them forward. And remember, abundance isn't just dollar signs in a bank account. It comes in the form of the right people coming into your life at the right moment, doors of opportunity swinging wide open, and personal growth that happens along the way. When you pursue your calling with passion, you naturally attract these kinds of blessings. The rewards that come aren't merely about padding your wallet. They're about fulfilling your greater purpose. The money, when it comes, is just one aspect of a much richer picture. Each of us has been given particular talents and passions for a reason. When you use those gifts in your work, you tap into the fullest version of who you are meant to be. That brings a sense of wholeness and fulfillment far beyond the temporary rush of a paycheck or a bonus. True abundance comes from doing what you were created to do, and knowing that your work is contributing to something bigger than yourself. It's the peace of mind that comes from living in your purpose, and the joy that flows from seeing the positive impact your work has on others. Abundance in this sense is holistic. It's the inner peace of knowing you're exactly where you need to be. It's the happiness that comes from seeing your work change lives. It's the deep satisfaction of contributing to the greater good, and yes, it also includes the material rewards that come with doing something valuable. When you're working from a place of passion and authenticity, people notice. The resources you need, money, time, support, tend to flow toward you. We've all seen examples of individuals who found not only personal fulfillment, but also financial success by living out their calling. They turned their passions into thriving enterprises, where they poured their hearts into service and were blessed in return. These stories aren't coincidences. They're reflections of a principle that when you give your best to the world gives back. Living with purpose creates an abundance mindset. Instead of seeing obstacles, you start seeing opportunities. When you're on the path of your calling, challenges become stepping stones, not roadblocks. Every person you meet and every setback you face carries a lesson to learn or a way to help you grow and expand the impact of your work. This positive outlook is not naive optimism. It's a faith-fueled perspective that recognizes how even difficulties can advance you toward your destiny. It's also important to note that the financial rewards which come from living your calling are not about greed or selfishness. They are a natural outcome of delivering real value to the world. When you serve others and create something meaningful, people recognize it. They willingly exchange their resources in return, whether by paying for your services, buying your products, or investing in your vision. In other words, abundance flows when your work is aligned with your calling. Ultimately, choosing purpose doesn't mean choosing poverty or struggle. In fact, it opens the door to a life overflowing with the things that matter most: deep fulfillment, meaningful impact, true joy, and yes, material provision as well. When you're living in alignment with what God made you to do, you'll often find that you're supported in ways that exceed anything you expected. This is the power of purpose. It leads to abundance in every sense of the word. When you embrace your calling fully, the possibilities before you are endless. Work as worship, laboring for a higher purpose. Every morning when we enter into our routine, answering emails, attending meetings, fixing dinner, or tidying up the house, we might not automatically connect these tasks with a higher purpose. But what if every single task, no matter how small, could be seen as an act of worship? What if your daily work is actually a chance to honor God? The Bible encourages us in Colossians 3:23-24. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. For it is the Lord Christ you are serving. In other words, in God's eyes, no work is just work. If done with the right heart, it is service to Him. When you adopt this mindset, everything about your work changes. Suddenly, the mundane tasks of each day are transformed into opportunities to show your devotion and gratitude to God. You might still be doing the same actions, cooking a meal, filing paperwork, helping a customer, but now you're doing it for a higher purpose. You're not just working for a paycheck, a boss, or human approval. You are serving God Himself through those actions. With that perspective, even the most ordinary work becomes meaningful. Think about it. Cooking a meal for your family can be more than feeding hungry mouths. It can be an offering of love and care unto God. Organizing your workspace diligently can be more than just tidying up. It can be a reflection of the order and excellence God deserves. Assisting a client or leading a team can transcend the job description. It becomes ministry when done with honesty, kindness, and a servant's heart. When you carry out these activities with excellence, integrity, and love, they become acts of honor toward God, not just items on your to-do list. Now, striving for excellence in your work is one way to worship. This doesn't mean being perfect. None of us can claim that. but it means giving your best effort as a tribute to God. It means paying attention to the details and doing your tasks with a pure heart, knowing He is worthy of nothing less. When you commit to giving your very best in every area of your work, you are essentially saying, Lord, you deserve my finest. That spirit of excellence reflects God's own character shining through you. Think about the abilities and skills God has given you. Using them fully and faithfully is a way to give Him glory. Whether you're solving a complex problem, serving a customer, or sweeping a floor, if you do it with a heart that desires to serve, it becomes an offering to God. Every action, no matter how mundane, can be done in a way that honors Him. There is no divide between sacred and secular work when your intention is to please God in all you do. When we approach work with a servant's heart, the environment around us changes. We start to treat people with the love, respect, and care that God has shown to us. The way you interact with a difficult customer or a demanding boss becomes a reflection of how Christ's love works through you. If you choose kindness, patience, and empathy, you are mirroring God's grace in the workplace. Remember Jesus' words, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Matthew 25:40. Even the smallest act of compassion or help, done with the right heart, is counted as service to God Himself. It centers you again. The focus shifts from how hard the work is to how great the one is whom you serve. In moments of fatigue or frustration, you can whisper a simple prayer. God, I'm doing this for you. I trust that even if I can't see the results, you will use my effort for your glory. By offering up your work like this, you release the burden and reaffirm why you're doing it. Viewing your labor as worship also reshapes how you define success. The world around us often measures success by titles earned, salaries made, or trophies and accolades collected. But God measures success very differently. In His eyes, success is defined by our faithfulness, by serving others with love and excellence, and by bringing honor to His name through our efforts. That means if you perform your work in a way that pleases God, with honesty, diligence, and kindness, you are a success to Him, regardless of what the earthly results look like. You might never get a standing ovation or a big bonus, but if you have been faithful in what He's given you to do, you can be sure He is pleased. So the next time you find yourself wrestling with a tedious task or feeling like your work is thankless, remember this. Every task is an opportunity to honor God. You don't need a pulpit or a worship band or a missionary trip to serve Him. Right where you are, in the middle of your everyday work, you can turn your duties into devotion. Wherever God has placed you, in an office, in a truck, in a classroom, at home, that is your altar, and your work can be your offering. When you approach each day with this outlook, your work becomes so much more than just a means to an end. It becomes a living prayer, a continual expression of your love and dedication to God. Your workplace, or your home, or wherever you labor, turns into a place of ministry, where God's grace can flow through your efforts to touch others. Every project, every chore, every conversation becomes part of a sacred tapestry of worship. Living with this mindset means that each day is a fresh opportunity to offer your very best to God. And through this, you will find a deep fulfillment that comes from knowing your work has eternal significance. Your work is not just about the result, it is about the heart with which you do it. So work with excellence, serve with joy, and know that in everything you do, you are worshiping God and reflecting His glory. This understanding that work can be worship is profoundly freeing. It breaks the chains of viewing your job as a necessary burden or just a paycheck to collect. Instead, you begin to see your work as a sacred privilege, a daily chance to glorify God regardless of your occupation. No task is too insignificant, no role too small to contribute to His purpose. Whether you're a business executive closing a deal, a stay-at-home parent caring for children, a teacher grading papers, a doctor treating patients, or a janitor cleaning hallways, your work can be holy work. God delights in seeing us shine His light in every corner of life, and that includes our workplaces and homes. Never forget that God has placed you exactly where you are for a reason. He has entrusted you with specific responsibilities and spheres of influence so that you can reflect His glory and serve His kingdom in that space. keeping this work as worship. Mindset helps us hold the right perspective. Sure, there will be times when work feels overwhelming, frustrating, or exhausting. But when you remind yourself that your labor is ultimately for God,